From the establishment of the Safavid State in 1501 until 1510, Shah Ismail became an enormous power in his region. It became the second power in the world, after Europe, that could resist the Ottomans. The majority of Shah Ismail and his subjects were Turks. Its real source of power came from the Turks in Anatolia. It achieved this by using a sectarian view completely opposite to that of the Ottomans. Through his preachers, he was spreading Shi'ism in Anatolia and the surrounding regions, building a large Shiite army for himself. He had been raised with this goal in mind since childhood and possessed an extraordinary intelligence for his young age. Instead of directly attacking the Ottoman Empire, his intention was to win over the Turks, who were subjects of the Ottoman Empire, and weaken the Ottomans through internal conflicts. He had found the opportunity he was looking for during a period when Ottoman princes were fighting for the throne against each other. He ordered the Anatolian Qizilbash to rebel in every region and began to watch the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. However, the rebellion was suppressed within a year, and things did not go as he had hoped. When the rebellion failed, the Safavids had lost a large portion of their followers that they had cultivated in the Ottoman Empire over the years. While waiting for Prince Ahmed to become Sultan, he became concerned when he heard that Veli Bayezid had ceded the throne to Prince Selim, because he knew that Shahzada Selim knew him and his ambitions very well. Selim had protected the Sunnis fleeing the tyranny of Tabriz in the Trabzon region. He had defeated the Shah's armies in Erzincan with a small provincial army. Sultan Selim was aware of everything. He knew. He thought that Sultan Selim would definitely march against him. For this reason, preparations should have begun already. On Tuesday, 21 March 1514, Sultan Selim Khan set out from Edirne with his army of 30,000. After a 10-day journey, the army arrived in Istanbul, and Sultan Selim visited the tomb of Eyüp Sultan, prayed, and remained there for about a month, completing final preparations by procuring cannons, weapons, and supplies. While the army arrived in Izmit on April 23 and was resting there, Sultan Selim wrote a letter to Shah Ismail. According to Allah, the all-knowing and true king, the religion is undoubtedly Islam, and whoever turns to a religion other than Islam, their conversion will not be accepted. They will also be among those who lose out in the hereafter. This name is from Sultan Selim Khan, son of Sultan Bayezid, son of Sultan Mehmet, son of Sultan Murat, to Shah Ismail, according to the ruling that when the lion leaves the forest, the jackal enters as the hero. You conquered the eastern countries through rape. You have opened the doors of oppression and cruelty to Muslims' faces. You have become thoroughly engulfed in every aspect of irreligion. You severed the bonds of the Sharia by following your own desires. You have made it your profession to destroy the pure beliefs of the people. The practice of making adultery permissible, unjustly shedding blood, destroying mosques and minarets, burning tombs and graves, humiliating scholars, throwing sacred books into filth, and cursing the venerable sheikhs has reached the level of consensus among Muslims. Our scholars have issued a fatwa declaring that you and your followers have abandoned Islam and fallen into disbelief. Our duty is to defend religion, save the oppressed, obey divine command, and uphold the honor of the Sultanate. For this purpose, I have donned steel armor and a mail shirt. With the help of Allah, my flags of victory were raised. My lion-hearted warriors, accustomed to victory, have taken action. Offering conversion to Islam before conversion to the sword is one of the principles of our glorious Prophet. This letter was written for that very reason. Some bad behaviors can be corrected. If you too become one of those who ask for forgiveness from Allah after committing evil deeds with our victorious army, there is a possibility that they may deliver the items to you through our distribution center for the regions we have agreed to deliver to. Saying I was deceived later won't help. It is our duty to come with my soldiers, enter your hometown, and set fire to everything. To come and prostrate oneself upon my threshold is an honor for you and those like you. Do as I say as soon as possible. Otherwise ask, but your request will not be accepted. If you choose to resist, it will come to pass. Whatever God's will is, that will happen. But at that time, I will lift the oppression from the oppressed and spread my fame and mark throughout the world. I will destroy them as if they never existed. Sultan Selim, with a redhead named Kilich, who had previously been captured in Anatolia, sent this letter to the Shah. He sent it to Ismail. The reason he wrote so harshly was to offend the Shah's honor and draw him to the battlefield as soon as possible, because the longer the journey took, the more it would work against the Ottoman army. When the army arrived in Konya, they visited the tombs of Mevlana Celaleddin Irumi, Shams of Tabriz and Sadreddin Konevi, offering prayers. Upon reaching Kayseri, they encountered Tulkadirolu. Alaudevla sent a letter to Bozkurt Bey. According to the principles of being a fellow sectarian, one must be a companion to the Sultan who wears the sword of jihad in the suppression of heretics and the cutting off of the roots of mischief. Join the expedition with your forces. However, Alaud-Dowla rejected this offer and chose not to participate in the jihad. When Sultan Selim arrived in Sivas, he conducted a census of his army and found that their number had reached 140,000 people. By separating 40,000 men from his army, he stationed them under Skanderbeg between Kayseri and Sivas. The reason for this was the risk that Alevis in Anatolia might launch a new rebellion during the campaign was to take countermeasures. Although the rebellion in Jerusalem was suppressed and the Alawite leaders crushed, Selim Khan punished only the extremists, that is, the terrorists who had been involved in the events. Therefore, a still very significant Alevi population remained behind. When they arrived in Erzincan on July 18th, the Shah's envoy delivered the Shah's letter to Sultan Akibabi. Sultan Selim to the Shah, "Your letters have arrived. Our march to Anatolia during your father's time was due to Dulkadirli Alauddin's arrogance. Otherwise, we have no issue with the Ottomans. On both sides, nothing but friendship and unity was seen. Many of the people of that country were dear to our ancestors. We had a long-standing friendship with that dynasty. We do not want any unrest to break out in your country, just as it did during Timur's time. There is no need for such inappropriate remarks." I could not attribute the statements in this letter to a ruler. These must have been written by clerks who had ingested opium. Therefore, I am sending them a vial of opium sealed with our seal to use. At present, I am hunting in the regions around Isfahan. We wrote this response immediately in a friendly tone. We have also immediately begun preparations against you. If you insist on waging war, I will not flee from battle. I will deal with it as soon as possible. We have no fear of anyone. Many have experienced this desire of yours. Ali, those who wage war against their children will perish themselves. If the issue is to be resolved through war, it would be unwise to postpone it, but one must also consider the outcome. Vesalam. This is Sultan Selim. He was very angry when he heard about the letter, and the Shah's messenger is full of opium. The way he handed over the box, and also due to his arrogant attitude, he had the messenger executed. The Ottoman army was very strong from Erzincan onwards, entered a difficult period. Shah Ismail had the water wells along the route of the Ottoman army's advance blocked, the crops in the fields and food stocks destroyed. He had them burned. The army cannot find provisions. As the situation worsens for the soldiers, the grumbling began to increase. The idea of going back started to spread. It had begun. The Shah's aim was also this. Thito confront the Sultan. He does not come out, and his soldiers breaking the resistance. He was waiting, Selim, in front of you for weeks. One for the absent Shah Ismail. He wrote another letter saying the following, said, "In response to my letter, Ismail Bahadur also sent a letter with a bold attitude. Hurry up, we'll be waiting too. You said, let's get rid of it. In the land for months, I'm walking. A hometown. The land is that ruler's honor is like. The truth is this, from you, a chivalry and courage. Apparently, no action was taken, not seen. Other than tricks and gimmicks, don't you know anything? You've suffered. Do you think this is the solution to your problem? It was known. Keep using it. Eat. Maybe thus the heart will become stronger. They obtain it, and they come to confront us. You find courage. Their courage and 40,000 of their broken soldiers were left behind. Vine, generosity can only be this great. From now on, in the past, keep running away just like you did. If you do, masculinity is forbidden to you. Living instead of a helmet, armor, wearing a sheet instead, from the claim of sheikhdom and shahhood. Give it up, he said to Shah Ismail, and had sent women's clothes. Sultan Selim Khan, Mullah Suleiman, when he arrived at the village, he gave the army 2 days' rest. Here the Prince of Georgia, Mirza, the envoys sent by Kanbay Khan, arrived with 300 camels and supplies for the army they had brought. During the rest period in Iran, Shah's forces deep inside the country, rumors of their withdrawal spread. The Ottoman forces were very tired and faced the Safavids. They were angry because they didn't come out. They were present. The soldiers' rebellion had reached its peak, and the soldiers had revolted. Even among them was the Shah's spy, some imbeciles who might have shot arrows at the Sultan's tent and left threatening letters. The army had truly reached the point of rebellion at that very moment. At that very moment, Selim exited his tent, mounted his horse, and addressed the army loudly. At that very moment. And, hey, soldier, cowards in disguise. Enemy. If we marched against them, the enemy is not yet on the field. It's okay for me. Those who have taken up arms, equipped with swords, if they wish to return, they may return. They may return. I am such a person. I have set my heart on love that I will never turn back. Even if I were alone, I would go. There is a God, and the prophet's enemy is out. Him. The lovers are angry for him. To the fire, to the ice cold, they're coming in. Their sons, and they sacrifice their children for his sake, they say. We are on the right path. Yet, look at this. Lack of effort and lack of patriotism. Whoever wears a sword for my sake, let them return. I will never give up. Saying this, he advanced his horse forward. Thereupon the soldiers again followed Selim Han's lead and abandoned their rebellion, because, with this speech, the Sultan embarrassed them and boosted their morale. A few days later, Shah Ismail's towards Chaldiran. News of his arrival reached the Sultan. When it reached him, the state of rebellion in the army had given way to the spirit of jihad. Quickly the army several during the day. In the evening of August 23, to the plain of Chaldiran, close to its time there was. Shah Ismail's army was there ready and waiting. They found it positioned. The strength of Shah Ismail's army, it numbered 80,000 men and consisted entirely of cavalry. This army had been very vigorous for 10 years and was a formidable force. They had been fighting for 10 years with the Akoyunlu and the Uzbeks, with the Timurid state. Wars were fought with the Tulkadirids, and it was an extremely experienced army. However, it was the first time it faced the Ottoman army. They were encountering each other. 90% of the army was composed of Afsharids, Karamanids, Dulkadirids, and Varsak Turks. Army right and left, as it was divided into two divisions. 40,000 people were on the right flank under Shah Ismail's command. The other 40,000 people were the Beyla Bey of Diyarbakir, Ustakalioglu Mehmet Khan. He was on the left wing under his command. The Ottoman army had 100, it was 1,000. The army was arranged in a crescent shape and divided into 3 columns. In the center, Grand Vizier Hersekzade, Ahmet Pasha. On the right, on the wing, Anatolian Beyla Bey, Sinan Pasha, and on the left wing, Rumelia. Beyla Bey Hassan Pasha were located on these 2 wings and behind the center, in part 8 footfall and punishment for 1,000 people each. The troops were located. They are also big behind them. There were cannons. Sultan Selim Khan, on the other hand, this war is high. He will follow from a hill, and it's almost chess like playing the war from here. He was going to direct Shah Ismail Ottoman war. He knew his tactics very well. The order of the Ottoman army as well, the prisoners he captured, he had been found out. Shah Ismail ordered an attack without waiting at all, taking it from the wide end. He himself ride towards the Ottoman left flank, charging like Yildirim across Rumelia, striking his soldiers, again the same. In this way, Ustakalioglu attacked the Ottoman right flank. Their goal was to split the right and left flanks and converge in the center to defeat the Ottoman Empire, was to encircle them. Ismail I was so effectively attacked that the Rumelian soldiers suddenly suffered a rout, and the Ottoman left wing, Rumeli, suddenly collapsed. Beyla Bey Hassan Pasha was martyred. It had fallen. Sultan Selim saw that his left wing had collapsed. Immediately, the commander of the Akinci troops, Malkosolu Ali and Turali Bey, to support the Rumelian soldiers by sending Shah Ismail, specifically ordered his killing. Thereupon, the raiding units departing from the center toward Shah's. When the Ottoman army surrounded this region, a battle took place according to custom. Meanwhile, Ustakalioglu also followed Shah Ismail's tactics in Anatolia. Beyla Bey had attacked Sinan Pasha's army. However, Sinan Pasha was a very formidable pasha. Ustakalioglu's, as they saw him advancing towards them, he spread out his army like a fan and began to advance. Ustakalioglu moving forward into this spectrum, he came in, and what happened? Sinan Pasha rear without understanding. To the soldiers on the side, he ordered them to withdraw. Back, the horsemen on that side were heading right. When Ustakalioglu opened the door, his horsemen suddenly found themselves in front of the Anatolian militia. They found themselves. The Turks retreated quickly through a maneuver and left the square to the cannons. The cannons fired like a dragon. When he started vomiting Sinan Pasha, he immediately gathered his army, and the horsemen of Ustakalioglu wrapping your balls in front of you from behind, he was starting to push. Ustakalioglu could not withstand the cannon fire for long, and nearly all of his 40,000-strong cavalry were annihilated. However, Shah Ismail and his soldiers were putting up a very serious resistance. They were showing. The Rumelian soldiers had retreated. Raider, the troops were also weakened, and Malkosolu Ali and Tureli gentlemen by the Shah's soldiers, he had been martyred. Shah Akinci, by splitting their troops to the center, he began to move towards this Sultan Selim at the point. The Janissaries of Shah Ismail, to meet the challenge, they took action. Nusaris with rifles, forming a barrier in front of the Shah with their rifles, they began to fire. Rumelia, while the troops were returning, and the Akinci forces followed Shah Ismail. Surrounding him in a circle, they put it in. Sinan Pasha, Ustakalioglu troops, to help the center after the defeat, he ran. The Shah's army was completely trapped in a vice grip. Speaker C, when the Janissaries attempted to kill the Shah, disguised as the Shah, the bodyguards stepped forward saying, "I am the Shah," because they were thrown out. He killed someone else and the Shah too. By changing his horse in this way, he managed to escape. Where the Shah's tents were located, in the section all the treasures, and along with their wives of the commanders and soldiers, and their wives were also present. But enough to stop by the Shah's there. He didn't even have time. Zira Akinci, his troops are after the Shah. He was hooked. The battle ended in a decisive Ottoman victory. The Shah's treasures and one of his wives, along with other commanders, their wives and many Shah's soldiers, had fallen captive to the Ottomans. The Safavid armies, however, were he had been slaughtered. The Ottomans broke the Sufi into this war. They gave his name. The Shah fled to Tabriz and took with him what he could by taking as many valuable items. He left Tabriz immediately. Sultan Selim towards Tabriz he moved. The people of Tabriz are Sultan Selim with excitement. He was waiting. Sultan Selim VI, entering Tabriz on the date of September, waiting for him and for years, silenced, killed, himself, forced to hide as a Sunni, were welcomed by the public. People pray and God. He was thankful. The Sultan, as soon as you enter the city of Tabriz, Shah Ismail's years. First he had the Gok Mosque closed, then he ordered the Great Mosque to be opened, and he performed the first Friday prayer there. He led the prayer, in the sermon, praise, and after the salutation, the four great caliphs, Hazrat Abu Bakr, Hazrat Omar, Hazrat Osman, and Hazrat Ali, one by one praising their glory, their names, when you chant the congregation. He started crying, and Allahu, by saying Akbar is a very big. He had taken on a spiritual atmosphere. The Sunni people are grateful for these days, they said. Praise be to Allah, to God who sent Yavuz. Thank God, God.